secrecy builds intimacy when you have this little world that you're building and no one else knows about it, which is something that I really got off on.
I used to send him nudes at work when I could like sneak my phone quickly, and I would like watch him from the bar, check his phone and just smile and just look at me. Like, it was so naughty.
It definitely caused rifts in the relationship as well, because we were so focused on keeping it a secret that it actually like kind of distracted us from some stuff that actually needed to be addressed.
Hi, my name is Dee. My favourite colour is blue, and the daughter that I gave birth to has moved back home.
The daughter that you gave birth to? The one that has a tail?
Yeah.
Macy?
Macy Gray. Miss Macy Gray, my daughter, who has been with her grandma and grandpa in Perth, has taken a overnight flight and landed in Melbourne, and now she lives with me.
How's she doing in the new house?
Mate, she's king of the castle.
Is she?
She's already taken over.
Wow.
Yeah. So confident. The lady who dropped her off was like, God, she's friendly. And I was like, yeah, that's my girl.
Yeah, Miss Macy Gray and I bonded actually when I was in Perth earlier this year. She was such a little sookie la.
When you stayed at my mum and dad's house.
That's right. She would wake me up in the morning and have like morning cuddles with me. Best cat.
She's the cutest thing in the whole world.
By the way, it's a cat if you didn't realise. You did give birth,
I gave
obviously.
birth. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So happy for you.
Thank you.
Glad that you're reunited with the daughter. Hi, my name is Pip Rasmussen. My favourite colour is now maybe green.
Are you a changer?
Used to be orange.
Do you change your favourite colour?
Yeah. It's like a seasonal thing. It just changes sometimes.
See, I did not know that about you. You think you know someone.
I know. Anyway, and my heating is still broken. Yay. Welcome to the hookup.
It's a whole thing. Yeah, we talk love, sex, dating, relationships if you're new. Maybe you are watching us on Spotify. Hello. Instead of just being a podcast on YouTube, we are now on Spotify. Mm-hmm. We talked about it before, Pip, but the best thing about it is the fact that you can like slide out of the video, still have it small on your screen, and scroll TikTok at the same time.
Yeah, I literally have got like little mini screen in my phone while on phone screen, like scrolling Instagram, talking to people, watching myself.
Yeah. Like we don't expect you to have your full attention at all times watching us.
Oh my God, no. Dip in and out.
Yeah. Just we're happy you're here.
Yeah, we really are. Thank you so much for being here.
Okay, we have a pretty big episode actually. We are going to be talking about taboo relationships.
So I guess how we would define taboo relationships, we were talking about this earlier. I think it's just kind of like forbidden, right? Slightly morally or ethically maybe questionable relationships. And for me, I think I would define it as a way of like, I would want to hide it from my friends. Like I'd be like, oh, I don't actually want to tell them about this person and I'm keeping it under wraps. And I think that's kind of how I would see a taboo relationship playing out.
Yeah, it's something that you have kept a secret, I would say. Like maybe it's professor-student relationship. Maybe it's like boss, you're the employee. Maybe it's like your sibling's best friend and they said you can't date my friends.
Or your friend's exes.
Yeah.
If you were like a professional and you're getting with a client, like that's a little bit morally
celebrity
grey.
fan. So there's so many different dynamics. But yeah, we wanted to put it up on our Instagram for you at Triple J The Hookup and figure out whether or not this is something that you have been in before. 48% of you said yes, you have been in a taboo relationship.
Yeah, and we asked if yes, did the relationship work out or end badly? 20% of you said it worked out. 43% of you said it ended kind of neutrally. And then 37% of you said it ended badly. That's what we're going to explore in this because we had so many voice memos and DMs from you describing all the different types of taboo relationships that you've been in and if they worked out or not. And it's pretty wild. We have some really good stories, like strap in. I'm excited.
Okay, let's go through our archives of exes.
Yes. Of course, we always ask you to tell us stuff and then we're like, we probably should share some things.
What would you say that you've ever had a taboo relationship?
I mean, maybe taboo light, like nothing like major. There was a time where I could definitely tell there was a big power difference, which I think can play into a taboo relationship and something feeling a little bit forbidden. It was a guy that I met when I was doing community radio. And I was quite young. I was like really early 20s, and he was like this kind of semi-famous writer. He was like an author, and he was really famous for writing for like a massive website at the time. And I don't know how it happened, but I was like really drawn to his like power. I wouldn't even say I was a fan or anything, but he was a lot older than me as well, which I think added to the taboo.
Well, yeah, he's like on a pedestal. It's like, wow, what a cool job. Like,
yeah, I was like really like admired his work and like what he did. But yeah, we kind of ended up having this like secret online like relationship where we would like sext and like talk into like the hours of the morning. And like I didn't want to tell my friends about it because I felt kind of like weird and like, ooh, like this is kind of
because the age gap was so huge.
The age gap definitely was like a huge factor. And maybe, like part of his job as well. I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't talk about this relationship. So yeah, bit of a weird one. What about you?
I do love a bit of a secret, forbidden moment.
You're like, you can't even get it out.
I know. I'm like,
why are you struggling?
I feel like this is what we're going to find in this episode is like, it's hard not to judge, you know what I mean? Like it's really hard. It is hard to talk about. But I hooked up with my boss when I was in my early 20s. I worked for a tech company and he wasn't that much older, maybe like 5 years older than me. And we, just had like a really flirty banter at work, and then everyone would go out for drinks. And there was just a period where like I knew he was keen and we kind of played into that, and then we would secretly hook up after work, and it only ended once I like got into a relationship with someone else.
And did you stay at the job?
I stayed at the job, but it definitely soured like our relationship. Like it went from like kind of getting special treatment, which I think I like lent into.
Oh, totally.
At the workplace, and then it like ended up being a bit awkward and a bit like sour when I did end up with a boyfriend.
But when you were sort of seeing him and it was secretive and stuff, like I'm assuming it was like really fun because you were like,
God, it was so much fun.
Oh my God, it's so hot that I'm hooking up with my boss and I'm not meant to right now.
Yeah, you mean you have like the glances across the room, you have like the secret messaging, like the whole thing. So I totally get why this is like such a common relationship for people to get into.
Oh no, totally. I think that's exactly it. Like people want what they can't have. And there's this whole like research about this thing called like a psychological reactance. It's the whole you can't have it effect. And
which makes you want it more.
Well, yeah, like exactly. The grass is greener on the other side and it's forbidden. And it's like in every love story ever, like Romeo and Juliet, like tale as old as time moments where people are like, I want this person because I cannot have them. So that makes complete sense.
Yeah, we did look into a bit of the research behind taboo relationships and why people might be drawn to them and kind of what Pip said. And then there's also the thrill seekingness and the dopamine hit that you get.
Obviously,
so when it is a bit more secretive or you're doing something that you know is a bit taboo, like you'll get that high rush of dopamine and that hit of dopamine, which kind of keeps you going back for more.
Yeah. There's also like attachment theory as well and power dynamics, which is kind of what I mentioned before with that guy. Like
age thing.
Yeah, the age thing.
As well, social psychologist Arthur Aaron found in his research that sharing secrets actually creates closeness. So taboo relationships often involve hidden worlds, creating a bonding mechanism between partners that feels more intense or intimate than open relationships. So secrecy builds intimacy when you have this little world that you're building and no one else knows about it, which is something that I really got off on.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes when these taboo relationships like fail or break apart, because that secret little intimate world is then just like dissolved and broken, it's like the power of it and the like lust and attraction of it kind of falls away because you're like, oh, well, it's exposed now and it's not as like exciting and fun anymore because it's not a secret.
So yeah, this is what we're going to get into in this episode and hear some of your experiences with taboo relationships. But Pip and I just want to preface that like it is really important for us here at The Hookup to create a safe space for you to be able to share your most honest, vulnerable selves. And so, you know, some people might be watching or listening and saying like, oh, it kind of feels like you're condoning these relationships. And there's no way that we are. Like, we're not sitting here being like, yay, fuck yeah, have this like potentially morally like ethically grey relationship. We're not. We're basically just wanting to create a space where you can talk about some of the things that you have experienced in your love lives. And like we've been saying, this taboo relationships is a really common experience. And we want to kind of unpack why.
Yeah. So before we get into like all of your things, keep that in mind. And also, we're not condoning anything that is like illegal, and we want just to like talk about like consensual relationships.
But yeah, bit of a content warning. We are going to be talking about affairs. We're going to be talking about huge age gaps. We're going to be talking about, you know, people who maybe have previously been violent, like all different types of relationships where you feel like you have had to hide or there's a bit of stigma and taboo around that particular dynamic that you're in.
So speaking of that, affairs was definitely one of the most popular ones that we saw in our DMs. We got this one from someone saying, I dated a married man I worked with. I tried to end it really so many times. Eventually he got very possessive and I put a hard stop on it. I was much younger than him. Funnily enough, the age gap was also a huge thing. And I would say even like the Venn diagram of like affairs and age gap was basically the same circle.
It was like
not even a crossover.
It was like affairs, age gaps, boss, employee.
Yes.
Like people you work with, like there were so many messages from you of people who were having affair with a married person who was also your boss.
Yeah.
And
who
there
was
was
also
a huge,
10 years
who was
older
also
than
10
you.
years older than you.
So that was like all one circle.
Yeah.
So I think we should like just go into all three. But like age gap, we actually got this really great one from Tia. And by the way, everyone's name in this is changed, so don't stress.
At 2018, I met my man. By then I was 20 and then he was 38, so it seems okay. And then he really encouraged me with my career, and also I was just graduated, and my family against this relationship a lot, just because I went out and I didn't want to share part of the relationship with my family, because they think that it's disrespect in the culture that who dated a man who was such an older age.
So he was like 18 years older or something, which is huge.
Ellie messaged us and said, still in a relationship with a man 30 years older than me. I was 24 when I met him and it's great. We actually have done, Pip, an episode specifically talking about age gap relationships, and we kind of unpacked like your stories but also looked at the research, which is something we explored in the episode, is like there can be a real power dynamic when someone is really young and someone is a lot older, which is kind of present in so many of these taboo relationships, the power dynamic. And one of them in particular, which was kind of mentioned already, which is what I experienced, was the boss and the employee relationship.
Yeah.
This was a huge one from you.
Yeah, so many people messaged us about this, including Claire.
So I had an affair with a guy at work. I was at the end of an emotional, abusive marriage, and he was just in a relationship. And I ended up leaving my marriage. His partner found out about the affair. They broke up for a bit, but they got back together. We still work together, and this was 2 years ago. And basically, he still tells me he loves me, and the fact that if I didn't want kids, he would have left her for me. But the fact that I 100% want children is apparently the reason why we're not together. So now we just sit down at work and pretend like nothing has ever happened.
Firstly, the guy saying that I would have actually been with you if you didn't want kids, that's a lie. Straight up, that's a lie. And I think Claire knows that too. The way she said that, she was like, well, apparently this is the only thing stopping him. No, definitely not. And secondly, staying in the workplace afterwards.
And then having to see each other
like every day.
and pretend.
Yeah. I think a lot of you, you know, like in this circumstance, like actually DM'd us and said that you left the job. It had like massive consequences to your like financial and like career kind of prospects and stuff like that.
Or a lot of people just were, the secrecy came as well from not wanting to be judged and thinking that your people assuming you're trying to get a leg up.
Yeah.
Like that's such a stereotype. If you are in a relationship with your boss, it's like, oh, you're just trying to get ahead.
Yeah.
And you know, some of these relationships can be really legitimate and loving and real, but it definitely has that like stigma associated with it, which makes a lot of them end up breaking up and ending.
Yeah. It can be very complicated. It can get really messy. And yeah, Emma got in touch with us to tell us her story.
I was sleeping with a cop who was engaged for 2 months prior. He is a pretty high-ranking cop, and my position and his is pretty significantly gapped, if that makes sense. So the power dynamic was there. When I had decided to cut it off, this was when I was feeling extremely guilty about sleeping with him at his house, the house that he shared with his partner while she was away. And shortly after that, I found out I was pregnant. When I had told him I was pregnant, he pretty much told me to deal with it, which was the last straw. And I think everything came over me at that point, so I ended up telling her. She guided me and supported me throughout the process of getting an abortion, which is crazy. But at the moment, they are still together, and I do see him at work still, and I just ignore him. But yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Whoa.
So we asked her a couple of follow-up questions and she answered. So she said, I knew the whole time he was in a relationship. I wasn't in a good headspace and I used his attention as a way to feel better in my own skin. His partner could sympathize and relate to a degree. And weirdly, we both began to bond over the pain. Weirdest situation I've been in, but I grew so much from it.
That is, like a top tier human, the partner.
Yeah.
That is so
Selfless
and empathetic and considerate.
Yeah.
But I'm like, where the fuck is the man in all of this?
Yeah, literally.
Why
So
wasn't he helping?
There's definitely got to be some like psychology in terms
Wow.
of, yeah, like as she said, like using his attention as a way to feel better in my own skin. I mean, that is kind of part of what taboo relationships involve, I guess, like feeling out that attention and feeling validation and filling some kind of gap because maybe a regular relationship couldn't do that for you. And
Yeah,
there's
for
like
feeling special, right? I think a lot
a
of
special
these
treatment.
dynamics, the person who is maybe like
The boss.
the younger person or it's always like you feel special, like they shouldn't be doing this, but they're doing it because of me. They couldn't not do it because of me.
Yeah.
But really interestingly is, Pip and I have done an episode previously on the hookup around being the quote unquote side piece, on being like the third person. And we asked you, did they ever leave their partner for you? And only 12% of you said yes. So I think the research kind of backs that. Like it is quite rare for the person who is married or in that long-term relationship to actually leave their family and their relationship for the person who they're having the affair with.
Yeah, definitely if you're going through this right now, like go have a listen to that episode. But you know, like we were saying before, it is very fun. It is very secretive and hot sometimes to date a boss. And we had this voice memo from Jasmine talking about her experience.
My taboo relationship was actually with my old boss when I used to work in hospitality. He was a manager and I was a bartender. And I remember we were flirting and chatting for about 3 months, and then I invited him to come to my house to play Mario Kart, and that's where it all started, and we kissed. And we dated for about 2 years after that, but I just remember how hot it was when you both have hooked up outside of work, but then you come into work and you have to be professional, but you just give each other these like little looks and these little flirty moments. I also had his private number, and I remember I used to send him nudes at work when I could like sneak my phone quickly, and I would like watch him from the bar, check his phone and just smile and just look at me. Like it was so naughty.
So this is the power thing, right? Like
Yeah.
I feel like the person who is hooking up with the boss feels powerful. I can't speak for the boss's behalf, but I'm sure there's some sort of power dynamic on their end as well. The interesting thing is like it like usually is quite gendered, right? But we actually got this voice memo from Sarah, who was, I guess, kind of the boss, but then there was the age gap power dynamic. Anyway, I'll let her explain it.
It was like a weird balance in two areas of like a bit of a taboo relationship. So the first was he was way too old for me, like to the extent that my friends are like, oh, what are you doing? And the opposite was that I was very much a senior at work. At first it was like, okay, this is like a little bit forbidden, this is a bit fun. Because, you know, when like there's something that you shouldn't be doing and it always makes it that much hotter. So that was a bit of the justification. And then when it actually happened, it was like, oh, this is actually not all that good. They're having to like sneak around and like find excuses for stuff. And like we obviously couldn't have anything that was too public, which just made it really awkward.
Yeah, see, it's not always as fun as soon as you start.
Well, I feel like it starts fun and then the reality seeps in and you actually realize this is actually kind of sad at some point after it's been a while and you're like, this isn't fun anymore. Like, it's kind of, like when you maybe get to the stage where you want a relationship and you're like, I'm actually not being able to bring you to things that I would like to. I'm not like, you're not integrating into my life in a way that a normal partner would.
Yeah. And you can sometimes just build up the fantasy in your head and it's way better as a fantasy. And then you act it out and then you're like, actually, ew. It kind of sounds like what Sarah was saying.
They do something that makes them human.
Oh, yeah. Like they ick you out and you're like, ew. Yeah.
What do you mean?
We also had a lot of people message us talking about like dating in different sort of like cultural and religious backgrounds and that being taboo, which is really fascinating. We got this really great voice memo from Jared talking about it.
So my first relationship was with a girl who came from a strict Filipino family. So she had a curfew, wasn't allowed to go on certain trips and stuff like that. And the main thing was she wasn't allowed to date until she finished her first uni degree. When we got together, we were in our 20s, yet she still had all these rules. So we were together for about a year and a half. And the whole time, her family did not know. It was crazy. Yeah, we went on like covert trips, covert hangouts, and she used to say that she was just hanging out with her friends when she was actually hanging out with me. We had to like park in secret spots and all that so her parents wouldn't see. It was crazy the extent we had to go to keep it secret from their family. It definitely caused rifts in the relationship as well because we were so focused on keeping it a secret that it actually like kind of distracted us from some stuff that actually needed to be addressed, like issues on her side, issues on my side. It was also our first relationship as well, so we weren't really used to some of the concepts and all that. And yeah, it was hard on her because, you know, she literally had to keep it secret and her family was a little bit ruthless. And it was hard on me because I was pretty much sacrificing being in a normal relationship that I could openly tell people and having to hide it from some of my acquaintances. And it was just hard.
I found it really interesting hearing from Jared and a bunch of other people about this because, like we were saying earlier, the part of the taboo, like secrecy, can be fun and sexy and hot for people, but it's so clearly obvious for people who have different like heritages and cultural backgrounds that it's actually not fun. And you could hear Jared talk about that and be like, it was really hard. It robbed me. Like it robbed me of like an experience that should have been like beautiful and I could share with my family and friends. So that I just found that really interesting because I was like, yeah, it's not fun to like hide it in that context.
100%. And yeah, we got so many messages about this from you. Jay saying, I dated a Pakistani man. I'm white American. He wouldn't share it because of his family. And you can also have like the added taboo of sexuality as well if you're queer. And that's something that like your families aren't comfortable with. And we also got this voice memo from Courtney.
It wasn't taboo on my end, but definitely on his. He grew up as a Hasidic Jew, which is ultra-Orthodox Jewish, and his father was a rabbi. We had a bit of a weird relationship where I had met his siblings, or at least some of them. I'd met his friends, had even gone to birthdays with him for his friends' birthdays. When he was overseas, we went to friends' birthdays, stayed with his sister, was good friends with his sister, and pretty much when the time came for me to sit him down and essentially say, what is this, what are we doing, he flat out said, I cannot be with you because you're not Jewish and I can't risk being disowned by my family.
I mean, that is just so hard and like you said, heartbreaking. Like I can't imagine going through that.
I know. It kind of makes the whole like, oh, my boss. Like,
I know it
I'm like, no, like people seriously feel the
Yeah.
impact of having taboo relationships. And like we were saying, like, you know, sexuality. And we recently did an episode about E&M. We had a lot of DMs about being poly and feeling like that's not really accepted. It was definitely being more accepted, but it still has a lot of stigma and tabooness around it. So I feel like there's definitely people who aren't being able to like truly be their authentic selves because society has just said that that's like not the norm.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are a lot of ones where like it is more just about like the secrecy and the fun and, you know, the power
And
dynamic.
The wanting what you can't have, which is something that I reckon we got a lot of in terms of like dating your friends' exes and like siblings and stuff like that. Ariana said, I dated my best friend's twin brother, which we did follow up and we said, can we hear more? And we were
Crickets.
left on scene.
Ariana, I need to know more.
I know. I want to know more about that.
I want to know if the best friend was comfortable with it. And like, are they still? No, they're not together because it's past tense.
So obviously it didn't work out. Well, you like last week were talking about your brother being quite close in age to you.
Yeah.
Did you ever like want to date any of his friends, and did you feel like it was like I want them but I can't have them?
A little bit. I feel like it's funny because when we started this episode, I was like, oh, I don't really have any taboo relationships. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wait, I actually have a thing for secret relationships.
There's a few.
Yeah. So my brother and I, when we were in high school, would kind of have the same friendship groups, but it was still this like unspoken thing of like probably don't hook up with each other's friends. So one of his friends I used to hook up with in secret, and it was also the brother of one of my friends. And so it was like a double thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like she was my age and they were the same age, and I didn't want to tell her and I didn't want my brother to know, and he didn't want his sister to know and my brother to know. And so, yeah, we used to just like sneak off at parties together and hook up, and he used to like sneak into my house. And that was like so hot.
I'm obsessed with that.
I know. Eventually it all came out one day, but like at the time it was like, nah.
Well, sorry to my brother's friends. Like none of you guys were hot. Sorry. I would have loved to have had that experience. It would have been so fun, but just wasn't into them.
Yeah, it definitely was like one of the funnest things I've done.
Well, we got a couple of voice memos about like similar stories, like this one from Tyson.
I dated a best mate of about 10 years' ex-partner. They were together for a little bit, and she made it pretty clear when they were in a relationship that she had eyes for me. I kind of went against my moral and I suppose broke the bro code, but she not long after, about a year after, did the same thing to me with one of my other mates. While he did the same thing, he did his partner at the time dirty, and we were both kind of high and dry, so a bit of revenge. Got together and ended up staying together for 3+ years.
Little
Wait, I need
incestuous
to know-
group moment.
I'm like,
The web.
so his best friend's partner he ended up getting with.
Yeah.
She left him, the
For
best
his
friend for him.
Yeah.
And then him and her, and then she ended up leaving him for another friend.
Yes.
And then, but
And
then
then-
that
and then
guy's
that
actual
guy-
partner
yeah.
got with him, and now they've been together for they were together for 3 years.
yeah.
So the taboo relationship we're about to talk about, and this dynamic in particular, we just want to flag that a bit of a trigger warning. We are going to be talking about domestic violence and violence in general. And if this, is something that is going to be hard for you to listen to, absolutely just tune out and tune back in when you feel comfortable. But I just want to preface that this was something that Pip and myself, we took a lot of time to actually think about whether or not we wanted to include this. But like we said at the top of the episode, like this is important for us to show all of your experiences without judgment. And a few DMs came through of people who were dating someone or whose partner is someone who has a background in DV. And we got this particular voice memo from Izzy about her experience.
My taboo relationship is with my current boyfriend. We've been together for 7 years all up. At about 5 years, he had a bit of a psychotic breakdown overseas, but we were on a trip together, and there ended up being like a DV situation go on. There was a bit of aggression, all that sort of stuff with some friends, and myself obviously being involved. I have a police protection order against him, all that sort of stuff. Basically, we've kept our relationship the whole time. We took some time apart from each other. My family's basically written him off the whole time. been like, you know, don't get back together with him. You deserve better. You believe in better. But realistically, I'm lied to them the whole time and I feel so bad about it. You know, our relationship's never been better, but I can't physically tell anyone in my personal life, like my best friend, my parents, my siblings. I feel so bad about it because, you know, they disagree with our whole relationship. I'm missing out on so many milestones. I've just, you know, bought a house and I can't even tell my family because they just disapprove of it. I feel guilty keeping it to myself. I'd love to obviously tell them one day. It's just summing up the courage and, you know, their reaction to it as well. I'm not sure how it would go. I don't expect it to go very well. If I ever have the courage to tell someone, it'd be my best friend first before my parents, because I know that she would be brutally honest with me as well, but I feel like she would just completely disown me as a friend and go, I disagree with your life choices. I generally don't think that I'm going to find better. It was just a moment of relapse, you know, bad time in all of our lives, but I feel like he's just worked past it. And he's gotten to a better place where we both feel comfortable. I feel physically safe being around him, even when he does have arguments with me. You know, not everyone's perfect, but like the way that he handles it's so different. But the guilt of keeping it to myself and not being able to tell everyone, be like, you know, we're doing this on the weekend, I went camping, we bought a new house. Like, it's stressful because I feel like I'm keeping a whole part of myself separate to everyone and I'm literally living another life.
So obviously we just want to like really clearly say that it's never okay to commit a violent act against another person, whether it's sexual violence as well as physical violence.
Emotional.
But this story like really highlighted to us that is such a nuanced point. Like, as you heard Izzy, she truly believes that like this partner has really done the work and come around, and she said she physically feels safe around him. They have arguments like regular couples and she's okay and they're okay and they've clearly worked through a lot of things together. And it's really sad, I guess, to hear that she isn't able to like share these life moments, I guess, with her family and her friends. But I totally understand like why she would feel
where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like that's their loved one that they would feel so protective over, and I would feel the exact same. So yeah, like Pip said, it's really nuanced, and just in general, like, you know, some people believe that we have to reform perpetrators and we have to create that space, and like there's broad work in the community being done for people who have perpetrated.
Yeah, like you said at the top as well, we had actually quite a few people who messaged us with like quite similar situations as well. We had an anonymous person say, I dated a guy that went to prison for sexual assault when he was young. He's really different now, but I was really nervous to tell people about it because I knew people wouldn't understand and that they would judge. These relationship types are so hard to maintain because it feels so taboo to be with somebody.
It's really controversial and conflicting and like we've been saying, really nuanced. But yeah, we just wanted to thank Izzy for sharing her story, because I'm sure there's people listening who might have been in a similar situation, maybe relate to, and just want to let you know as well that we will have help in the show notes if this has brought anything up for you. Okay, so another taboo relationship that you told us about, and I think is a really common one in the media, we see it happen a lot, is celebrity relationships with fans.
Yeah, we had quite a few DMs from people talking about their celebrity and fan encounters. And no, we're not telling you who the celebrities are, but let's have a listen to what Daisy had to say.
A few years ago, I had a situation with a well-known Australian musician whose music I'd followed and admired for a very long time. Out of the blue, he messaged me on Instagram. And at first, I didn't realise that he was in a relationship, but after a quick scroll through his profile, it became very clear that he wasn't single. Over time, things developed into an on-again, off-again relationship that lasted around 2 years. It was intimate, both emotionally and physically. We got along really well, and we'd had some genuinely engaging and thoughtful conversations and shared a level of connection that I believed went beyond surface level. That said, from really early on, he asked me to delete our messages as we went. He'd have me go through the chat and clear everything out, so there's actually no real record of what was said. Eventually, I started quietly taking screenshots, not to use, just to protect myself in the case of a situation where this was ever reframed or spun in a way that wasn't accurate. And after it ended, I realized how much of it was tied to my support and love of his music, how that admiration may have made me more susceptible to being drawn into something that I wouldn't have chosen otherwise.
I mean, that's like nail on the head right there. Like, that's why you would have gotten into that relationship. The
Celebrity fan relationships make me feel so uncomfortable.
The power dynamic is so bad.
I know. It's like I'm so fine clearly with like bosses and osteos and my brother's friends, but celebrity fan ones just irk me.
Really?
I just think there's so much power imbalance.
Yeah.
Like, and it's so common. It's like athletes, it's musicians, it's like actors. And I don't know. I feel like we could do a whole episode on it because I'm just like, there's so much to unpack in that power dynamic because it's like on the one hand, the fans getting something that they want, they're sleeping with their idol, but then the celebrities like taking advantage because they just see this person as like someone that's going to like fluff their ego and also like can take advantage of that. And I don't know.
I would say like maybe never meet your heroes in this scenario. Like let it be a fantasy, you know?
Exactly.
Oh, speaking of fantasy, can we talk about university professor and student?
This also was a huge one.
Yeah. So we had quite a few people message us about this, including Rustin.
When I was a 20-year-old freshman in medical school, I wanted to improve my English conversation skills. My mother, a member of a women's only gym, met an English tutor there who agreed to help me. The tutor was about 10 years older than me. She was smart, fit, and attractive. I began seeing her weekly at her place for English lessons. I was shy and respectful, with a primary focus on improving my English. After a few months, one evening, she invited me to her birthday party. I went, dressed nicely, and had a great time. At the end of the night, as guests began to leave, she asked me to stay a bit longer. We sat on her couch, sipping drinks and conversing in English, of course. She then lit a cigarette. The conversation became more personal, and soon we started kissing. That night, we made love until dawn. She wasn't my professor, so there wasn't a significant power imbalance. However, we both worried about being judged by others due to our age gap and the fact that she was my tutor. Eventually, after an awkward conversation, we decided to stop seeing each other.
Sorry, did I just listen to a porno?
Yeah, you did. We made love until dawn. That's right.
Rustin, that was incredible.
That was hot.
You should actually sell that as an audiobook.
Yeah, see, this is the fantasy part of the taboo that I love. And I feel like
you really do love a professor.
I love teacher student situation.
Not illegal.
Not illegal. Just to
like
clarify.
at uni.
But like, yeah, like that kind of situation, hot.
Yeah, we got a message from Jess saying, I dated my uni lecturer. It was the hottest relationship, but I didn't want people to know. And I didn't want people to know and think I was getting special treatment. It ended when he moved for his career. He is a great man and someone I loved deeply. Professor-student relationships definitely have a lot of taboo around them, but they are so common. And this is actually something that if you tune in to a couple of days' time, I had a chat with Madison Griffiths, who is an author, and she has written a whole book about these particular taboo relationships. She like interviews 4 women who had affairs and relationships with professors and kind of like how that happened and the aftermath of them, including like talking about her own experience as well.
Oh, I'm so keen for this chat.
Yeah,
this
she
is gonna
like
be great.
fully unpacks like the power and the desire and like whether it's like as unethical as we think, and then it's really, really good.
Wherever you listen to your podcast, you can actually do like a little notification on thing. I feel like you should turn it on for us because you do not want to miss that one. I feel like this is going to be a really interesting chat.
Also, I feel like we haven't said like, subscribe in ages. So like
and subscribe.
Like us, subscribe on Spotify, Apple,
Give
YouTube,
us a review.
Triple J app. Give us a review.
All of the above. And yeah, thank you again to everybody who sent us a voice memo and sent us a DM about this topic. Obviously, it's really personal and can feel uncomfortable to talk about at times. But yeah, we appreciate you like letting us share your story, and we hope you felt safe and cared for in this space as well. So yeah, big ups to you.
All right. Love you.
Bye.